Good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. It is great to have another Friday again. It's been a rough week at work, and I am super happy I'm able to just spend some time with you and some rest today. Ah, so before we get started, I was perusing the Rust subreddit this morning a little bit, and it looks like somebody made a what is it called? Made a theme specifically to be used with Rust Analyzer. I'm not like, based on the description of it, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I wanna give it a try. So it's called SEMA. It just came out recently. So it's a theme that focuses on what's important, and I think there's actually, yeah, this doesn't actually mention anything here about Rust Analyzer, but actually we can see this is all Rust code. Happy Phone 579, hello. I don't think I do. I don't remember. Yeah. No, I don't think I know who you are in the real world. Mainly because I just forgot everybody's username. So I'm sorry about that, but also hello. So let's try this. We'll do the dark. We'll come back here and we'll take a look. I feel like there's not that big of a difference. I want to make sure it took theme. There it is. Okay, this is a huge difference. That's a very pale yellow. I can barely see the difference between the white. I mean, I assume this is white, but that might also be a really light blue. This is all really bright white. We can try it for a little bit, but first impressions, I'm not digging like the how the colors are so hard to tell against the white. So that's interesting. All right, let's try. Let's go. What are we doing here? We're oh right. You know what the first thing we want to do? I want to put the query the get resources macros. We want to add both of those in to BBECS, and I also want to make sure they're in a better place than where I put them. So if you just come to source library, I just threw the one of the macros in here. I don't think this is a good idea. I would rather put this in. This is resources, so probably resources. Then inside of here, maybe like a helpers.rs. And then throw that in here. And so any helper functions or macros or anything else can go in here for that. So save you. This should be good for right now for us. But we want to add the other macro in here as well. So that is this one, the get mutable. So I want to see. Get mute resource. Here's this macro. All right, so we're also going to do a macro export. Macro rules get mute resource. It's actually get mute resource or get resource mute. I think I want to do get resource mute. Okay, so we get the identifier, the world, the name. So we need some documentation around this as well. So get a resource from the provided world. Get a mutable reference to a resource from provided world so that we can change it. This will probably need to be put into a block or dropped so that other queries can work. All right, let's head back here and find our example. It's right here. Okay, so we're going to create a variable named mute size. So we can actually just call this size. It's a mutable reference to an F32. I guess before we do that, we need to use the world, create the world, add this world. So that's what we need to do. There we go. Okay, so we use the world to get that out. Create a new world, add a resource size to the world. Then initialize an empty variable that doesn't have anything in it named size and cast it, like just tell it what type it's going to be. Then we use this macro get mute resource, which takes in the size, the world, and the name of the resource we're looking for. We can now dereference and like mutate that. Now at this point of time, so I would need to put this into a block. So that way we can then use this. So size, get size out. Now I would expect, so assert equal that a dereferenced size. Oh, I see what I was doing now. It doesn't matter anymore because they're in a block. It's going to go out of scope. So these are different variables. Okay, so size should now be equal to 16.0 F32. Unfortunately, I can't seem to run this as a test. So it does make me wonder whether or not these will work. Let's go ahead and try it. So if I do cargo test. Ooh, okay, so it does try to run. But they failed. Okay. What happened? Cannot find macro get resource in this scope. Right. So we have to do the same thing to grab. Okay, so where are you? We're trying to use get resource like this, but you also have to use ECS. In this case, resources, helpers, get resource. Like that. I think that's what we need to do to get you to work. And then down here, we need to do the same thing. So get resource, but we also want to get source mute. Let's try this again. Did not like that. Oh, I need to pull. Do I need to pull in traits or something? Unresolved imports, resources, helpers, get resource mute. No get resource mute. And okay, so I need to figure out in here. Yeah, it was okay. So now if I try to use this, this would be resources. Where did I put it? I put, oh, ooh. No, I made you a pub mob helpers. This is in resources. Resources helpers. Resources helpers. Do macros need to be like in a special location? Can I not throw them like that deep? I can't. Can I build you? Uneducated dropout. Hello. Okay, so I can build that. Does that make you happier? Can you now find it? Maybe? Okay, how about if I try to just anyone else get this? The video is let's see. I am streaming. It's live streaming, no dropped frames. Can I see myself in? Yeah. And I can see myself on my page. Let me try going to my channel directly from a completely different browser. Well, besides the ad, it works. Okay, it's working now. Awesome. It's great to hear. Possibly, although I've noticed like Twitch often has like a lot of those glitches that just require us to restart. So it I don't know. All right, so the problem that we're running into here is, let's say I just delete everything we have and create another function main to make you happy. So if I want to use get okay, so that just get resource like that. Oh, okay, so I can just, when I exporting a macro, it just makes it available like that. Oh, that's interesting. So over here, I would want us to do this. And do that. Okay, let's try this again. No method name to add resource. Trait item. Oh, okay. We need to add the trait item. The trait is okay. So we need to add resource. Where are you? World methods. Okay, so we need to put you in. This would need to go into both of them. So use that. Okay, so we should get farther in our test now, but still fail from the next ones. Yeah, now it's cast instead of add resource. So cast is right here. It's so nice for it to just give me exactly what I need. Okay, what's next? Then cannot find macro get mute resource because I renamed it to get resource mute. So that is here. Get resource mute. Cannot find value mute size in this scope. So line 39, let size, because your mute size. Okay. And all tests pass now. Okay, perfect. So now we have some helpers for our resources. 2 macros that allow us to query out those resources and get access to them pretty easily. And they're documented, which is nice, and tested. Well, I guess the documentation has the test in it. Okay, so what's next? I want to mark this as being completely done now. So you are here, party. Now I want to abstract the queries for the components. So let's head back in here and figure out how this is going to work. So we're going to start with let world equals world new. So we're going to create a new world. We have to register a component on this world. So world.register, and our name is going to be what are we going to call this? We'll just do the same thing, size. And then we have this result. So This is gonna unwrap here because we're in main. I could have like a result passed from main, but I'm not gonna worry about that right this second. Okay, we register off of the world, so now we can add an entity. So we can do world dot spawn entity, unwrap, and then with component size, and then the data, let's just do the same number. So 15.0 F32. Unwrap, and that's it. We don't have like a build on this builder pattern. It just sort of is a way for us to like continuously add components in here. Okay, so that allows us to like spawn an entity. Queries, however, can be a little bit rough. If I want to query out for this now, that's gonna look like, I'm gonna do this all in one function down here. So we're gonna have a function, like some kind of system, I don't know, like query for entities with size. So we are going to need to take in the world, which is going to have to be a reference to the world. We don't need it to be mutable because I'm just querying for it. And even if I wanted to mutably change size, I still only need a reference to world because we're using interior mutability with some smart pointers here. All right, and we are going to return a result. I don't care about you. Can I do something like an impl error? I don't know if I can. No, I don't think I can. Let's go ahead and in cargo.tom I'll pull in error. This will allow us to return this specific type of error result, which is fairly nice for us. Oh, I have to wait until Rust Analyzer. Wait, did it do its thing? There it is. Result with nothing in it. Okay, so now I can question mark stuff inside of here. So if I want to query for all entities that have a size, so let query equals a world dot query. We're going to give it a vector of strs. So in this case, size. Question mark u. That gives us hash maps. Now I can get like sizes out. So query dot get size. Now I want to unwrap you. It's actually impossible for this to not be there as long as I'm matching these names correctly. We would error earlier on from like trying to spawn a component that doesn't exist. So we would want it to crash at this point in time if it doesn't exist so we can fix the problem. Now, we have our sizes and it's a vector of these component data. So now I would want to like potentially loop through the sizes. So we can do like for size in sizes, sizes. That gives us a reference to this component data. We can now cast the size down. So size, let's see. Size, you're going to be a reference to a, what are you? A data wrapper. Oh, you can't find it. Okay, let me go find it up here. Use data wrapper. It's a special type that I created. So it's a data wrapper, and that is an F32. You're gonna equal to our size dot cast. So we need to pull in the let's see, this is components, cast components, question mark u. That gives us this RC ref cell of like whatever it is. And then I can now utilize this whenever I want. So I can essentially just debug. Now it's an RC ref cell, so we can borrow to get out, or borrow mute to get out mutably if I want to. So I want to essentially do a size. Let's just do it like a deref size dot borrow, and that will be the number itself, like the full number, not some like it's not inside of an RC, it's not inside of a ref cell, it's just the actual size. And then down here, run query for entities and pass it in a reference to the world. And we can see that that is 15. Okay, so what macros could we create to try to make our lives nicer with this? This could be turned into maybe a single macro. Possibly. Well, we'll have to see about this. This could maybe be turned into a macro too, but I'm not sure. Because usually you want like the casting stuff to happen here, but of course, since macros just sort of like generate / insert code at this point, that might work out. Let's see what we can do here. So we're gonna create a macro rules for this first one. You can call it query. Now, what do we care? Like, what's going to come in here? We want to get a list of the names, and we want an unknown number of them. So I wonder if that's going to be something similar to what we saw in the book yesterday, where we can have like name, you're a SPR. Might be ident, might be also better. And then your star, because you're multiple of them. 0 or more, essentially. And then inside of here, I want to grab out, let's see. I want to figure out what these names are, push them into like a vector. So let names then I want to how do we do that again? Let's go find that book. Macros, here we go. Oh, dollar X. So you have to be a dollar here too. Comma star. Okay, so then we create a new vector. Then we do this dollar Okay, and then we can push in whatever this is, and it's repeated over and over and over again. Oh, so we create like that. Then we're gonna do just $open like that. And then names that push name that. Yeah, okay. We have to have this star down here. And then we could probably just do a debug of names, just to sort of see what we have here. So given that, I should be able to run query now, sort of in this spot. So let's do a query you, and we're gonna bring in size. Tigrisgra, hello, hippity hoppity, you're on my property. Well, hello. Okay, and here we go. Names is size. So we get this, and if I add in another one, like if I want entity ID, for example. And so specifically, I might want to like pull in entity ID, which of course you don't know about because of reasons, which I think I can grab here. Yeah. We should see both those things in that vector. There we go. Size and entity ID. Okay, so the next step would be, so that gives us the vector. We then want to pass in world. So what I want to do is something like this. Pass in the world like that. Once we have the names, then we can world. Oh, I have to tell you what you are. You're a spur. Okay, so world.query. We just want to do this world.query, and we pass it in the vector. So this is gonna be names. We have to unwrap here. And I guess that's gonna return. It's gonna return the world, and then we have to do like a it's not gonna really get us much. So if we do this, that I think replaces this thing. Where now I can just do query, pass in the world, pass in size, and entity ID. Failed to parse. Okay, so expected. Okay, so I wonder if I need to do this thing again, where I have like the double curly brackets. So that makes you happy. And then down here, okay, so we now see that this query is returning a hash map. So that's good. If I wanted to return a tuple of different sizes, I don't know if I can do that. Yeah, I don't know if I can properly do that. Um, what is a macros? So a macro allows us to write code that gets sort of compiled before the rest of the code gets compiled. That might sound a little bit confusing. Basically, what happens is we run this macro. It has this bang here. It's going to now turn into like this code, except basically using the type system and using the variables that I'm passing in, it's essentially going to replace this line with potentially multiple lines of actual code that I want to run. And then after all the macros are sort of processed, the rest of the code compiles. So it's a way for like a pre-compilation step, like to make things a little bit nicer. You can apparently do magic with macros, like insane things. Want to write a completely different language inside of Rust? Macros will allow you to do that. So here I'm trying to say like, okay, I want to replace our query, but I'm not sure if I can create a, well, unsure if I can. It's more of, I have no idea how. If I want to somehow return a tuple, you can't like push into a tuple. A tuple has to be sort of like set at whatever size it's going to be. And then I can do a vector, but like that's not really helpful. I can destructure from a tuple, so that makes sense. I don't think I can destructure from anything else. So yeah, my skills with this aren't high enough, and I don't. Should I come over here to real Rust? Let's go to a tuple. Yeah, tuples are finite. They have a length. And that means you can't like, I don't think I can set a length. You can do a looping count at least of the arguments. But I don't think I can like create a new tuple with each of the results, can I? Like that's what I would really like to do. I would really like to now create a new tuple with, and like extract out here. I could do that. That would be really nice. Like this would be essentially let our query equals this. So now we have the result of this query here. This is a world. So now what I would want to do is essentially do to create this write an example tuple that I want out. Sure. So in this specific case, here I'll use this the way I want. Like I would love it to be. I would love to be able to say we're querying for size and entity ID. So I want size, sizes, entity IDs out. So I want these to be the result of what I would have gotten through this. then this would go away. So each of these would be a vector of component data. And so the tuple would be the length of how many of these I pass in. But let's see. So like there's this star here, and I don't understand the star. Is it allowing me to just repeat this over the number of times that this exists? So it's basically, okay. Star is loop. Okay, so do this again. But that's good for things like names into a vector. Wait, vectors can't be turned into tuples, can they? There's no, the word tuple doesn't exist here. So I can't do like as tuple or to tuple. And I don't think I can do like an into. Like, okay, so for example, get rid of you. So you're still gonna work. You're upset with me. Okay, so like dollar name, star. Remove and set final. Oh, remove the comma. Okay, hold on. So remove this comma. Okay, so we have parentheses, dollar name, comma here, star like that. Okay. No. If I, okay, so let's say I just debug out. Under let mute. Oh, okay, so I'm not touching this thing at all. This thing stays the same. Under, oh, okay. So we create a query here. Then down here, we're going to, oh, wait, no. That would be here. This is what you're talking about. So, let's see, dollar. Then another one. Wait a second. Open. This gives sizes and other things. Okay, so let's just try this again. Start over. Okay, so we have open parentheses, dollar, another open parentheses, dollar name, comma, star. Now, what can I do with this? If I try to like debug you, am I gonna get multiple debugs for dollar name? Obviously you're gonna be upset. Let's take you off. Oh, look at that. These are stirs coming out. Just do, oh, cargo expand. I keep on forgetting about that. Go expand. Is that a, do I need to search for it? Macro to expand byte string and string literals. Which one do I want? Cargo dash expand or just expand? Cargo dash expand, I would assume. This one says shows the result of macro expansion and derive. Okay, I think I want this cargo dash expand. Cargo stall, cargo expand. Now what's interesting here is that we're getting stirs out in a tuple, so it's destructuring out. So I see that is returning here. I'm destructuring just the names as it were. So I want, if we just do this name again and I just debug guess we could just do debug sizes and entity IDs. So we'll do cargo expand. Could not compile. Okay. Cargo run. Well, However, okay, so this worked out. Like, we're able to get that out. Okay, so that's good. You can only expand using nightly. Try cargo plus nightly expand. Okay, let's try that. Cargo plus nightly expand. All right. Let's see. Rest up, install nightly. Thank you, Nerosnim. Well, that is going. Let's see. So this creates a tuple of this long. And then we get to do whatever the code we want to have happen in here. So if we do what we have before, so let names equals empty vector. Then it's essential. Okay, so we're essentially going to do the same thing where we have names dot push name, and we do that. That should now push out those names, and I should be able to debug names out here. Okay, you worked. So cargo nightly expand. It's trying. I hope it only expands this macro, not like every single macro in all of these packages. Okay, so here's entity for IDs. So here's entity for IDs. We're using this query right here. This query is expanding to that sizes and entity IDs equals size entity IDs. Okay, perfect. Cargo expands macro invocations, not definitions. I think there's a way you can tell it what function body to expand. Well, I mean, this one is pretty easy to find because we're just doing like a very micro look at it. Maybe in the future when we do this on like on a real project, that will be much more of an important thing. Okay, so let's not do this. And I don't want this to happen. We're gonna push the names out here. I guess try debug names just to begin with. Then I can do a cargo run. Okay, you don't like that. Back to here. I think this was inside of a parentheses 2. No. Tigger Scott, thank you for the help and happy lurking. There needs to be a separator inside the outer to tell it what to put in between each expanded element. So you think you need to move the... Okay. This is the wrong one. Yes, you're right. Okay, so it's the dollar like this. So dollar like that. Semicolon like that. Okay, let's try. There we go. Cargo run. Okay, so we can see inside of here, we're getting the names. So I have all those in. Then we're going to let query equals world.query for names. We'll just unwrap. And now we should have a it's a hash map of query. So for example, if I don't have you and we just return query here, world cannot find world. Is that because we need to get rid of one of these? No, okay. Dollar world, you're right. I forgot. It's like, what am I in? PHP? Okay, so dollar world there. Thank you. Now you are gonna be our like query. We see that this is a hash map of what I want to get out. So now I want to get and then stuff inside of here. So instead of returning query like this, I want to return a tuple here. Want to turn a tuple, and then each thing in here is going to be this thing with a star, I'm guessing. So we're gonna have to do a query query.get name unwrap star. Okay, so dollar open closed star is essentially a loop. So I need to do that in here. Dollar open close like that. attempted to repeat an expression containing no syntax variables matched as repeating at this depth. Is an environment where if you mention names inside, the body of that will be expanded once for each value in names. Oh, and add a comma between each item. So that. Not there. There? No. Why do I have to change names? Oh. Dollar name. Dollar name. Ah, okay. So we have Corey out of here. So what are you upset about? Corey does not live long enough. Ooh, okay. So now we're into problems. I could, though the last way we got around this was just pass in a query that gets used and then we don't care about it. Let's imagine that I do that. If I say like query is an expression then I can do this. Then that makes you happy. So then up here, I would need to do a let query that something is going to be world query. Okay, so look at this. We have these vecs coming out like that. So now we can then do sizes, entity IDs. Type annotations must be, okay, so then I would need query to be a type. You are a hash map of string and a reference to component data. You, come on. Also, let's see. In the end, what do I got here? So, okay, so comma here, star. Okay, there we go. And then now you need type. Okay, so apparently you don't know how to pull in hash map automatically. So use standard collections hash map. That should make you happy. And then component data. You apparently can't find that anywhere. So use CS. Components, component data. Stacking, good morning. You have your problems. I have my hash map. Okay, then what are you? Borrow possibly uninitialized variable query. It's right here. I just initialized it. It's the same. Okay, it's exactly the same. No new? Well, I'm just trying to like initialize it because it's being set to one that already exists. Why would I need to? create it. Like, I guess I could create an empty hash map. So here, we'll do that. Expected semicolon. Are you semicolon between these? Really? No. Oh, it's a turbo fish. Oh, wait, is that my problem? That was my problem. Okay, so that works apparently. All right, so now we get our sizes and our entity IDs out. You're saying unused variable query. Oh, hold on. Oh, wait, no wonder this is a problem. What I want to do is update you to say query equals this. I forgot to do that at the time. Okay, so you're saying smash types. Okay, now can I do this with just query? Can I just say, yeah, now it figures out what you're supposed to be. And everything's happy again. So I didn't need the type after all. I just needed to write the macro correctly. So then we have our sizes and entity IDs out of here. I don't need to do this entire get. We can then go through sizes and sizes. Now, the problem here is that I'm replacing 2 lines of code with 2 lines of code. I don't think this is really helpful in the end. So I don't think I'm gonna fully do it. Do that. Yeah, I don't think there's a reason to do it at this point. So I'm not convinced passing query in is the only solution to that borrowing problem. If that was what you're referring to just now, then you're talking about, yeah. So like, if I could, don't do that. If I could just basically make this one line where I just say, okay, I want sizes and entity IDs equal to this. I want world, size, and entity. The error when I do this. So let's remove query. This will be a let query is this. And query.get. And here we say query does not live long enough. Query is dropped here while still borrowed. Do I need to just reference it? Oh yeah, that might have been the thing. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so then here, for size in sizes is not an iterator, so I can just easily get this as an iterator there. So for example, a way to like easily cast this down, so we have size is there, and we can also just usually the way we do this is we also enumerate. Then we'd have like index and size. We shadow the size, we can shadow entity ID. It's also a data wrapper of a U32 equals to a entity IDs index dot cast. So now we can get size.borrow and entity ID.borrow. At this point in time, we can also borrow mute and like mutate it as well. And that's like how this thing is working. Let's see. Wait a second. You were fine and now you're not again. Query does not live long enough. Okay, never mind. Just changing it to query.get. Okay, we can reference name here. Yeah, let's try that. So query.get reference name. The trait bound standard string borrows stir is not satisfied. No. And name should already be a stir. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, this is all about learning macros, so I don't mind going down the rabbit hole. At least like right now. Let's try like a borrowed query equals just a reference to query. If I do something like that, and then we use borrowed query here, I just want to see whether or not expected expression found let. Okay, so I can't do expression here because it's not in a block. Right, because this is just creating its own little thing. I can't do something like this up here. So I'm gonna use borrowed query because query does not live long enough. I can't clone the world. Watching this the last 2 days, you have to say, give a big yikes to macros. Macros seemed like one of those things where they're the black magic of Rust. You could do all sorts of things, but what is the statement? If you use regular expressions in normal coding, now you have two problems. Whatever the original one was, plus now the regular expression. Right now with my level, I kind of feel that I'm in that state with macros. May simply have to give the query back to the caller in the tuple, and that might allow it to live long enough. Procedural macro is even more OP than macro rules. I've heard that, but like right now I'm still wrapping my head around this. Okay, so give the query back to the caller in the tuple. How do I give the query back to the caller? I got rid of borrowed query, so we're back to here. This has been eye-opening and terrifying at the same time. I'm glad I'm helping. Also, good morning, Josh Finney. You need to return both tuple and query. So would that be end query? Or if query declared before. Well, okay, that's what I was trying to do, was not have query have to be passed in. Because if I have to do something like this, query, I mean, I guess it can help, like, there's, so then we do $query, this, then, yes, okay, so then you become $query2. All right, so then down here, we're just gonna do a let query and query. So query essentially just becomes this outside thing. It exists, and then our query macro is going to use this query as sort of like a temporary holder. And then we see that we get these sizes out of it, and then can we run this? Cargo run. Yeah, we can. Everything works now. You like this more than the other solution of returning the query also? Yeah, that makes sense too. You don't need a trailing comma there. Where's my trailing comma? Is that up here? Right here? Don't need that. Not that one. Wait, where's my trailing comma? Is it... There's so many... Oh, your message is outdated. Okay, never mind. I had already removed it. Sorry about that. There's no trailing comma. Okay, cool. We're all caught up. We're synced up time-wise. Okay, so this, like, it works. I guess the really nice thing about this is for some of our example queries, if we want like to add in like 15 things that we're querying for, we only need one query, and we don't like, it's not an exponentially growing. I guess it's not exponential. It's not like doubling and growing. There's still only like one time that we do this. So I'm okay. Let's go ahead and create this. Let's take this macro rules, and we're gonna head back over to. So this is gonna be in queries, right? So it's not resources anymore. This is gonna be in components. Let's create a helpers. Press. Pub mod helpers. And then export macro export. Then we can throw this in here. And then we want to do a little bit of documentation. So helper to query query for components in the world. We have to give a query variable that will last longer the macro for this to work. And let's give ourselves some example code. You can simplify the vex setup in that macro too. Let mu names equals, oh really? Oh, you're right. So I can just do in here dollar, and then this tuple for this, and then dollar name, comma, star. Then I don't have to do that push. This doesn't have to be mute anymore. It's just names. And then I can actually probably just take this, copy you, put you directly in here, and now we have that. So it's a two-step process. Okay, so idea here, like what do we need? Well, first of all, we let's head back to our other code base here, see how we're using it. So we need to be able to create a query. So that's easy enough. Let's let query like that. then we need to actually do our query. So, all right, so now in order to get to that point, we need to bring in the query. So let BBCS query. So pull that in. We also need in the world let. This is a use. Also need to pull in the world. So let BBCS. Okay, so let's see world, pretty much. World. We have the query, we have the size here, entity ID. You're off of this, yes. Entity ID. The problem though is I can't do this until we also actually initialize our world. So let mute world new. So that gives us that. Then we need to do a world dot register. Let's see. We need basically to do this. Okay, so we bring in world, we bring in register. For register, we need to bring in the world methods. Okay, what else? Okay, so we register size, we unwrap, we spawn entity, that's from the world methods. With component size, we give it 15, we unwrap, okay, we're fine there. Then we create our query, size, IDs. So in here we are creating the world and adding an entity for us to query later. Okay. Now we are querying for the size and entity ID, which is automatically added to all entities. Okay, so then with components, we do that. Query, we bring that out. Okay, so then we have our world, which is right here. We have query, we have size and entity ID. Okay, so then back to here. Now I want to like, probably because we only have one of them. Doesn't matter. Let's just do this. Okay, so for index and size of sizes, iterate or enumerate. Size, data wrap. Okay, so we need to pull in data wrapper. Data wrapper is in world. Okay, so that could be in here. Data wrapper. Okay, so data wrapper from F32 to grab U out. Entity ID is data wrapper of U32. Then I don't want to debug. I just want to do some assert equal a dereferenced size dot borrow should be equal to 15.0. Assert equal that dereference entity ID dot borrow should be equal to 0. So if we run, well, five freaking errors. Stop. Just don't. Don't want a cargo run. Cargo test. Okay, so you failed. Why did you fail? So it is query. Okay, makes sense. No method named cast found for reference. So we're missing the cast. Okay, so components, cast components is what we're missing. So in here, use BCS components. No cast components. All right, let's try this again. Okay, the question mark operator can only be used, right? So I can't question mark in here. All right, so you are unwrapped properly in there, and then in here, these just all have to be unwrapped. Because that I can't figure out how to like have this return a result. So makes sense. All right, let's try again. And they all pass. Okay, nice. So now if we come back to here, I'm reaching into that BBECS just using a direct path. So I should be able to, we're gonna do the same thing here, but the difference now is I'm gonna comment out our macro rules query, and in here I want, no, okay, hold on. You don't know how to pull that in, do you? So I want to pull in use BBCS query. Hold on, let's that back. Your query. We're gonna have a use BBCS query. And even if you're upset, I don't know if I believe you. We're gonna run. Yeah, Rust Analyzer. Thank you so much for giving me an error and telling me that that doesn't work when it clearly does. But this is now how I can use it. I can use BBECS query out of here. Rust Analyzer is really annoying with macros. Yeah, I've heard about that. This is not cool. So I probably want to do BBECS colon like that. Not use this at all. Then let's just go ahead and restart the server. You'll notice that restart the server is like right at the top of my like previously used commands. I do that more than any other command constantly. It's terrible. Okay, and that works. We have two warnings. Yeah, because we're not using component data anymore. not using this hash map. And it's just yelling at me about not knowing how to spell that. So there you go. No errors, no warnings. We can just cargo run. Now, if we want to see what this code looks like, let's try that cargo nightly expand. Sort of like take a look at what this code looks like in here, expand it out. So here's our query for entities of size. We see let query. I kind of wish, you know what? I'm going to do this in here. Have you beat this? So what was the command again? It was cargo plus nightly expand. Okay. Wrong one. Exploring best macros. Now I want to do cargo plus nightly expand. All right, let's take a look at what this actually is. So here we have our query for entities. We see that it's just this size right here. After the first compilation step, essentially, where it goes through and the compiler expands all of these macros, we see, okay, we have query, that's fine. We have these size and entities, but then instead of this entire equals just this query, it equals this new block. Query equals, so it's then taking this query equals to this world, which is passed in here. That's the same as before. I think that expansion makes it look like the macro could just create query inside of it and return it in the tuple. Yeah, we were trying to figure that out. That would be really cool if I could just like say, oh, could I do that? If I don't have you here, if I take you out, and I would have to catch the query here. I would have to catch the query here. And so if I were to do that, let's head back over to this code because this is the new query that we're looking at. We would not catch the query in here. We would then return, comma, query. Let query equals this. Query, probably a reference to the query so we don't take ownership of it. Excuse me. No trailing comma. Don't I need to like have the comma for it's the second item? It auto commas. Okay, so if I do a cargo build here. Okay. That's what the comma inside. Oh, it's always going to have an anti-comma, so it's always going to end with a comma. Okay, I didn't sort of like fully grok that before. All right, so if we have that, then back to you. Then we don't need this query anymore. Excuse me. We're not going to pass you. Now we just get this, but we have to. borrow of query occurs here, move out of query occurs here. Did I do that wrong? Yeah, I can expand it. Come on. Okay, so let this queries equals, so let query equals world. Do this thing. Then pass the query back. You're not convinced that tuple needs the borrows at the beginning of the line. So we can try it without. But we still run into the same problem. Can you just do query.get instead of... Yeah, I think I did that. So here it's now just a query.get. So we run into like the same problem where we can't return it. And it's just like, oh, it's so freaking close. But I can't clone it. Because that clones the results. And they have to be cast. Yeah. So it's so freaking close. But I think what I'm gonna have to do is put this back into here like this. The issue here is that we're moving the thing that the results of those gets point to. Okay, so I know it would be nice to do it the other way, but it's just we couldn't figure out a way to do it. So sizes, here's our query and you like that, and then everything else should work except there's no query here. So then we can do a cargo. You can maybe do a query sizes, entity ideas. I mean, I maybe can, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's like worth just to constantly like shoveling query under a rug somewhere. I think for right now we'll do that, and like if we figure out like a really, really awesome way to do it in the future, we can always change it and update it. But that being said, we have updated query now, so we don't need, like, this macro rule is essentially not needed anymore because we're using the one from BBECS, which is awesome. So it cuts down several lines of code, which is, you know, it's helpful. It's, you know, is it the best? Probably not. But it gets the job done. So, I don't think there's anything else I need to do in here. So let's see. Let's take a look at what the plan is. We've essentially, I can do, that's a U. We're done for abstracting those queries now. So coming up in future streams is going to be, we want to I want to make it so that in this BBECS crate that we have here, we in our components, we have a lot of these impulse for like F-32s. And the code inside of here is incredibly similar to each other. So I want to be able to remove all of these and replace them with macros, which I think is going to be probably easier than today's, but I haven't done like this type of macro setup yet, but hopefully it shouldn't be too terribly hard. So that's what we're going to do next time. And then after that, I also want to potentially create a macro that generates tests for each of those. So I can just say like, hey, generate tests for basically like getting resources, getting mutable resources, querying for components, mutably querying for components. Basically, if I could, just create that for each type, then automatically, then that would be really nice there. And then finally, I want to be able to hold those query names in an enum and then like to stir it. So I want to learn how to do that. This one might be the toughest one. Mostly because I think it's a different type of macro that we're going to be doing. So today is Friday. I don't stream on Saturday mornings, but I do stream on Sunday mornings. So I should be back on Sunday at around between like 8:30 and 9, sometimes a little bit later, rarely earlier because I let myself sleep in a little bit. And then I usually stream until noon. So it's a longer stream on Sunday. So if you're looking forward to like seeing how I tackle these macros on Sunday, then go ahead and I would love to see you there then. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and bring our stream to a close. And thank you everybody for stopping by. Thank you everybody also for the help with these macros. It is tough to like wrap my head around them, but also I think this is gonna level up my game as well. With that, I hope that you all have a great rest of your day and happy coding.